Hi everyone, this is Lucrezia from Blogging for New Bloggers, and I'm so excited today to be interviewing Drew DuBoff. Hi Drew, thanks
Hello.
so much for you. As most of you know, Drew is a freelancing expert who has been using his experience to help other bloggers scale their business and reach 6 or even 7 figures. So I thought of inviting him here with us to share his expertise on how to systemize and scale your business, because this is Drew, is your niche and is your expertise, and you're great at that. So I really wanted to pick your brain on that and share your expertise with my audience today. Now, I know that you're useful and you're present in so many Facebook groups, so there's not need, to introduce Drew DuBoff. But at the same time, I like to start each interview in this expert interview series with a bit of introduction. So if you could, I don't know, give us a bit of insight into your background, what brought you to blogging, describe a bit of what you do on your blog, that would be great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. So my name is Drew DuBoff. I blog over at drewduboff.com. I originally started back in November of 2017 as a career advice blog, and that just did not work for me, and I chalked it up to a failure after around a year or so. But what I realized in the process, and this happened around March of 2018, was that I really enjoyed freelancing. And so at that point, I had started working in customer service for a 7-figure blogger, and I was making $800 per month, and I was using that money to reinvest back into the business, the blog side of things. So the whole reason why I decided to go down, this blog adventure was because of a social media marketing teacher in college. And she said, oh, start a blog. It'll help you with your interviewing chances, for when you get out of college. So I decided to put that to the test, and I applied for that dream job, and they rejected me after the second stage of the interview. So I said, well, guess that didn't work out as planned. But in the next few months, I was able to 3x my revenue with my freelance clients. And now I'm at roughly $4,000 per month, plus, give or take, depending on the month. So that's my background.
Yeah, no, wow, that's amazing. So you now make over $4,000 blogging and freelancing. Just
Yeah.
like we have many new bloggers that just started their blog, and they aiming to make a living from blogging. And so hearing these stories is really encouraging, and it's a proof that it is possible. And as you said, you only started a few years ago, so it doesn't even take that long. If you do it right, you can get there.
And I think it's really important also, to mention that if you're strapped for cash in the beginning, freelancing is a great way to supplement that income. Even if it's $50, $100, extra per month, it's a way for you to start making money online, so you can, kind of justify to yourself that this is something that you can really do. So I've got, some affiliate income in there, and that, kind of gets added on top. And whenever I get that, it's great, but I've kind of got like that set $4,000 that I know that I can, expect. But it's absolutely something that a beginner can start and accomplish.
Yeah, and you made a great point. First of all, he helps with your motivation, but it also, like, I like that you said that you reinvested it. Like, if you make money freelancing, then you can invest the money that you make freelancing into your blog, into your business, and so start growing it even faster. So yeah, no, absolutely fantastic. But the thing is, like, you're an expert in scaling, right? I was, yeah, it's not, it's a concept that not many people are familiar with, because usually we hear growing your blog, you know, like growing traffic, yeah, but scaling is something more specific. Can you explain what scaling actually is in layman's terms and layman's words, and you know what scaling actually entails? And yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I just wrote a post on this recently, so we'll make sure to drop it down in the comments below for everyone to check out. But basically, to talk about scaling, you also have to talk about growth, because the two are very much interconnected. So when you look at growth, we'll start there. That's when you're adding on additional revenue, but you're also adding on expenses, you know, to go with that. So for example, you might be making more affiliate income. You know, that's commission-based work for those who might not have heard the term before. But the way to get there for you is that you had to hire a writer to produce the articles. So you're making more money, but you're adding more expenses in the process. And while that's great, you know, and you have a higher revenue, your profit, your bottom line is still, you know, roughly the same. Whereas with scaling, what you're doing there is you're adding on additional revenue at an exponential rate compared to your expenses. So for example, let's say you've got an email funnel and that funnel converts for you at like 1 to 2%. So you know that for every 100 to 200 people that come into your funnel, you're going to get 1 to 2 purchases. You know that. At this point, it's kind of fixed. So if you put more traffic into that funnel and you get more, you know, leads, then you're going to continue to convert. So for example, you might, you know, run Facebook ads or another form of, you know, ads on social media. And so if you get your cost per click and, you know, your cost per lead, and generally speaking, if you get your acquisition costs, you know, below, you know, the purchase price, then you'll be able to, you know, scale successfully, because it may cost you, say, $10 to $20 per, you know, person, you know, per that 100, you know, to 200 people, but you know that you're going to get $100 to $200 off of that person, you know, so suddenly your rates are like, you know, 10 times, you know, what the expense cost. So that's kind of a brief overview on both growth and scaling. And both of them are completely different from traffic. That's completely different. A lot of people associate traffic with growth, and they're just completely, you know, different concepts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I can see. Now, thank you for this detailed outline and overview. But I mean, for what you said, everyone should scale their business. But I think that many entrepreneurs, many bloggers, I don't know if it's the fear that they feel, or, you know, I feel there is this probably belief that prevents them from actually outsourcing or scaling their business. And I don't know if it's a question of mindset. I don't know if you notice that. If you actually notice that, because you have been working with lots of bloggers and other online entrepreneurs. So have you felt that there is this mindset? And if there is, what would you recommend doing to overcome this fear of actually scaling your business?
Yeah. So this is something that I have experienced with freelance clients before, and even with people that I've coached. So what it comes down to is that I've kind of determined from my experiences that there are, generally speaking, 5 common fears of outsourcing. So the first one is that they think they'll do a better job than anyone that they hire. It's this mindset that they understand their business better than everyone else and no one could possibly replace them. The second one is that if they think if they'll continue to what I, call flex their hustle muscle, then, those 60-hour weeks will pay off. And that's just not the case, because the same strategies that get you to one phase may not necessarily, get you to the next phase. At some point, hours don't equate to growth and to scaling. The third one is that people have trust issues. So they don't, they just can't, see giving over their passwords to somebody else, or letting people, design graphics that are like, at the forefront of their brand on Pinterest, and, different things like that. The fourth one is that they think it costs too much money to add people, to their team. Experienced freelancers can certainly cost, a hefty price. And whereas, more inexperienced freelancers, charge lower, but it's kind of like what you pay for is what you get. So some people are afraid that they don't have enough money to pay for the help, that they do need. And then the fifth fear is that they've only ever managed themselves. And so they don't understand kind of how to manage and how to operate a team from like that business perspective, leadership side of things. And for a lot of people who start blogging, they do it more as a creative outlet and less because they have this rigorous business acumen that they're then applying to a blog, right? And so, I always teach people, you have to, transition from the mindset of a blog into a business, because that's what your blog is. It's this vehicle, to get you sales and to get you traffic and to get you revenue. But the blog itself is just that vehicle. It's not, a business. So when I look at, those fears of outsourcing, most people tend to experience them because of what they've heard from other people, right? And so someone, it's not a day ending in Y where you don't go into a Facebook group and you see someone who says, oh, well, they tried and they got burned on Upwork, or they got burned on Fiverr, from a freelancer because they paid this really low rate and expected to have the most, magic experience with them. Or they, heard about this web designer that left someone's, site riddled with code issues, for months, upon months. And, these are, in my opinion, the outliers of outsourcing. Not everyone has those experiences, but as soon as you begin to hear negative thoughts, your brain automatically populates, with them once you begin to think about those kinds of decisions. So we tend to focus on the negatives instead of the positives. And there are a lot of positives, to outsourcing. So I think the biggest thing that people have to take away is that they need to start. And it doesn't need to be, the most elaborate, outsourcing task. I remember the first one that I outsourced was an infographic, and the seller came at a recommendation from a lot of different people, right? So that's good. That means that other people have been the guinea pigs. They've tried this person out. This person is, well qualified. And it was great. It was a really affordable price. The designer worked with me. There were revisions involved, and it was like a 3-day turnaround, and it was a really positive experience, So I always, say, if you're hesitant about hiring someone that you don't know, right? Because that's when the trust factor sets in. Start with people that are in your network, people that might be from your audience, start there, because it's a much easier transition than hiring people you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you said actually resonate with me a lot. when we first started, we didn't outsource anything, obviously. We actually didn't even know that the blog would become a business, and now we have a VA, we have moderators for our Facebook group, we have an accountant, we have a proofreader. So the team is expanding and keep expanding and expanding. It was hard at first because I'm a perfectionist, so I was afraid. Yeah, like I was like,
yep,
they want. I mean, except for the English side, that so I knew that I read the proofreader, but for the rest, I thought that, as you said, like I was the best at knowing my audience, at knowing what they wanted, what I could do with my blog. So this was actually my fear, like that they wouldn't be as good as I could be, which was actually they're much better than me because everyone has their own expertise, right? But also another thing that's prevented me from outsourcing at first was that I felt like the blog was my little project, as you said, like my creative outlet, and I wanted to keep it just for me. I was afraid that by scaling it and outsourcing, I would lose authenticity. Like it wouldn't be true to his original initial mission anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever found anyone else feeling this way? Do you think it's still possible, in your opinion, as an expert, to scale a business but still keep it true to his original mission?
Absolutely. And that's something that, I've experienced with me. It's something that I've experienced with some of my clients as well. And it's something that I even ask, all these successful business owners on my interview series, which is called Scaling Success Stories. And we'll put the link to that, below in the comments. But, the general consensus is that if you stay authentic, if you stay genuine, if you stay transparent, to your brand and who you serve, then there won't be an issue with scaling, because at the end of the day, what scaling allows you to do is to reach more people and to help more people. And most people go into business and really into blogging because they want to help people. And so it just amplifies your efforts, right? It's not like you have to sell your soul to make money online. And, you shouldn't be that person, on Facebook ads who's promising something that they can't deliver upon, or you're using, this clever copywriting to get people to sign up, even though they really shouldn't be, because it's a misleading offer. And those are the kinds of people that, contribute to this idea that you have to sacrifice everything to make money online. And it's just not true. If you stick to who you are, if you use the same, messaging in whatever, promotional, ways that you go about scaling, you'll still be able to retain that authenticity and that, mission that you originally, set out to have.
Yes, yeah. Now, while I have you, I would want to pick your brain.
Yeah.
If we could, give the people that are listening to this interview your best 3 tips to scale your business, some actionable tips that they can, as takeaways that they can take away from this video and start working towards scaling their business straight away. That would be awesome. Do you have any tips that you could give?
Absolutely. And so these are all in that article that we'll put down in the comments below. But it's important to understand, how to scale for bloggers, right? Because there's a lot of advice out there on Google on how to scale a business, and a lot of it is catered to brick and mortar businesses. And the same, tips and tricks don't really apply to online businesses because we're very different in how we market our business. It's very much a different, beast altogether. So what I really did, is put together, a guide that shows you, how to, start scaling and, different things like that. So what you want to do is kind of like, like a multi-stage process, but at first you kind of want to determine like where you want to be in the business. So this is kind of like the stage where you determine, this is what my goals are, this is where I want to be, and, so then in the process, what you have to do is you have to clarify your niche, with precision. So when I say this, it's not just, oh, I help bloggers or I help stay-at-home moms. Like, that's not a niche. Like, that's a general overarching, target market. Yes, but that's not like a niche, right? So to scale, because you really need to have that specific niche. So say, for example, that you are a Facebook ads expert. And this example comes to my mind because I recently wrote it down at some point. But you love Facebook ads. You've used Facebook ads to get great examples for your clients. This is your bread and butter. Okay, so then who do you want to help? Okay, well, you're very much immersed and you have a blog yourself in the personal finance community. So you say, great, I'm not just going to help bloggers. I'm going to help personal finance bloggers, right? So now we've clarified that even further. And then the third part of niching down, right, because we've got the topic and then we've got the who, is the why. So this is to help them, gain more affiliate revenue, right? Because you drive traffic to high converting, posts as an affiliate marketer, then you make more money, right? Because they convert. We talked about this earlier. So that's a clear niche, is using Facebook ads to target personal finance bloggers for them to make more money, with affiliate marketing. And what you'll realize is that in the process is that once you help one person or two people or three people, the same pain points, the same issues, they're the same, right? They're not different. And so what it allows you to do is, to productize your business. And so that's the next stage. Once you've identified these similar points, then you productize it. And there are different ways to go about that. You can use an ebook, you can use a workbook, you can use an e-course, totally different ways about going about productizing. And you should start it out, right? You should start out as a service, because that's something where you'll be able to work with people individually and figure out those pain points. But once you have a good understanding of that, you just want to go ahead and productize it. And what that does, with a good audience of people to sell to, is it enables you to add cash flow. And cash flow is the really important part, because that's what you're going to need to scale into outsource later. So after that, you're really going to go ahead and you're going to document, standardize, streamline, simplify all of those processes that you have in your business. So, if you're doing all them Facebook ads, then you know what you have to do for each client, because they're very much like, it's very much a similar process. So it's easy, it's repeatable. You're most likely going to be using some form of project management software to help you keep track of all of this stuff. You might also have like a resource hub of processes and, that people can go to follow. That's really like, it's really the thankless work in online business that you have to do and you have to dedicate time to really prepare your business for scaling. And then the next stage, and this is why you need the cash flow, is that you have to hire and train a team of freelancers that believes in you. And the believes in you part is really important, because they're going to be your cheerleaders. And you really need that when you start scaling, because things may go really crazy really soon, and you need that support to be able to accommodate, a potential influx in people, and, and different things like that. So hire freelancers. I would always start off with people that are in your network, people that, you may have gotten referrals from your business friends. Those are great places to start. And then the last stage is good. You're going to go ahead and you're going to promote your blog strategically. And there are a lot of different ways to go ahead and promote it. You could do paid advertising on social media. You could do search engine marketing. You could do joint venture webinars or affiliate promotions with other course creators. You could do influencer marketing. You could even take your topic and write a book on it and then pursue speaking opportunities. There are a lot of different ways that you can go about the promotion side of things. But all of these promotional methods get you more people. And in order for your systems to work and you to get more sales, you have to have everything else in place, all of those systems, those processes, the team. So there's very much like a logical, built out, phase that you have to go through in order to scale. But if you do that the right way, and if you do it with, intent, then I have faith that you will be able to scale. And I know that was probably a much more in-depth explanation than you were expecting.
Yeah, no,
I hope it's good.
I'm impressed. I'm in awe. Like, wow, just wow. Like, I love this answer. And like, I'll be honest here. This is the best, like the first part of your answer was the best definition and explanation of niching down. Because when you first start, like the first thing that you do when you start a blog is, okay, I'll have to research and pick a niche. But it's so hard to understand what you need to do. Everyone tells you, like, you need to think about your avatar, and then, like like what you just said, open up, like the eyes of everybody. It was perfect. Thank you so much for sharing this with us for free. So yes, so much value. Thank you. I know that and I'm so excited now about this because I know that you have a scaling blueprint, right? It's quite famous among bloggers.
Oh, is it famous? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, of course it is. Can you actually tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the scaling blueprint, the goal behind it is really that it kind of takes you through the different stages. So what, it allows you to do is it shows you how to outsource effectively. It shows you how to systemize your business. And then it shows you kind of how to shatter your income goals. And a lot of that comes down to mindset, right? If you look at yourself, and your business in the mirror and you say, I'm at 5 figures now, how do I get to 6 figures? You can't continue to act like a 5-figure business owner. You have to think like a 6-figure business owner, because once you adopt, oh gosh, I'm hitting things all over the place here. Once you adopt a mindset of the next stage up, you'll begin to think and act like that person. So for example, because of course I'm all about examples. I don't just want to give you advice and then, interpret it how you
I'm loving it.
I want to say several months ago, because I forget the specific time I started, I hired a CFO. That's a chief financial officer. I know I tend to speak in acronyms a lot. So what that person has done for me is that it allows me, to help forecast for the future. So I know what my revenue is going to be. He helps me keep control of my spending, because I'm someone who likes to impulsively spend and buy education products that then sit unopened for months, So what it's really allowed me to do is focus on running my business. He takes care of the bookkeeping. he, reminds me when, estimated taxes are due. And, we're implementing this profit first accounting, or I should say like cash flow management systems. We're really putting the focus on me, taking out money so that I can pay all of my loans. I got a lot of student loans. So we're, pay them, but then also still have enough money, in the business. And so it's kind of that mindset of really treating your blog like a business. He's been able to do that. In the process, he's been able to systemize how I invoice my clients, so it's all based out of one platform, accounting meets invoices. That's QuickBooks, if anyone, decides to use that. So that was really, a transition, that I made, was start thinking like you need, that financial advice, like you need someone to help control you. Otherwise, you're just going to spend all the money that you're making, and then you're not going to be able to pull anything out of the business. So it's those decisions where you almost feel like you're taking a step prematurely. That's, kind of like exactly the decisions that you want to be making. So I hope that makes sense.
It does, definitely. Is it true that you also started a coaching program?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Oh no, it's a woman.
Yeah. So it's been like, it's been on like a soft launch for many, many months right now without even a sales page. But I grossed like $1,000 in the first few months from just like email alone, with like a list size of under 100 at the time. So like, definitely like connect.
It's already happening.
Like 4% conversion rate, rocket. Yeah. Thing I help bloggers who are looking to start outsourcing, who are looking to start scaling, who are looking to start growing. And really what it comes down to is that in the online blogosphere, right, you've got a lot of people who want to focus on getting you to start a blog, right? Because that's where the money is. There's a lot of money in affiliate marketing money, and hosting and themes and different things like that. So a lot of people want to push you in that direction. And I don't mind being transparent about it, because if that was my market, I would do the same thing. But what I do is I take you, from that stage. There's not as much support there, because, there aren't as many opportunities, to make money off of you. You've most likely gotten all of those beginner affiliate stuff out of the way. So I take you, when you're making some money with your business and you really want to level it up to that next stage, whatever that looks like. So I've helped people, begin outsourcing so that they can focus on the higher ROI. I've helped people, ROI means return of investment for those who don't know. I've also, helped even some, service providers. Like I've got this great relationship with my Pinterest manager, and, she's been great at like doubling my Pinterest traffic, on like the month to month. And I'm like helping her, scale like her side of the business and be able to grow into an agency, and helping her systemize, like exactly what she does with each client, and making sure she's got clientele that she can do similar stuff on, so that it becomes those repeatable tasks, right? There's two kinds of workers that you've outsourced to. There's the routine workers. Those are people that perform repeatable tasks over and over again. So we're thinking of like the general virtual assistants, people like that. Administrative type people. And then you've got the knowledge workers, and those are people that you hire because of their specific skill. So that might be Infusionsoft, that might be ClickFunnels, kind of whatever their level of expertise is, that's what you're hiring them for. So the goal is to be able to simplify, your process to such an extreme extent that repeatable workers are the majority of your, your contractors. And then you implement, knowledge workers strategically. So that's kind of like what I help people do. And we do all of that in like a 1 hour session, and it's amazing. And you come prepared with questions. And the testimonials, that I've gotten from the people in the program is just absolutely amazing. And for those of you who are looking forward to productizing one day, all I have to say is that the effort is absolutely worth it, because the people who you are able to shape, to transform, to change their lives, like, it is so immensely gratifying. So when you get an opportunity to do that, absolutely go for it.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm sure that once, because usually I post then the interviews on our YouTube channel, and I will add definitely the all the articles that you were mentioning. But if someone has any questions to you, can I tag you? Like, because probably I will just share it in our Facebook group, Blogging for New Bloggers. And so would you be willing, because I'm sure that after this interview, so many people will be interested in your coaching programs and your blueprint. So are you okay with receiving questions? Would you be?
Absolutely. I'm active everywhere, whether it's this Facebook group, another Facebook group. Find me, tag me, you can friend me, you can, follow me wherever. You can contact me through my site. I always respond to emails. I'm just happy to give back to the community that welcomed me in when I didn't know what I was doing, and help find, my bearings, So absolutely, if you're struggling, feel free to ask questions.
And would you like to remind the URL of your blog?
Yes. Yes. So you can go to drewduboff.com. That's DREWDUBOFF. And from there, you can find the link to my scaling blueprint, so you can sign up for that as well. So I will add it into the description. Actually, I will ask my virtual assistant to do that for me. There you go. Always the delegation.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to
add? Just start. I can't say enough how procrastination is the enemy of online business. It took me...
I'm the queen of procrastination.
Oh gosh. I mean, I want to say it took me a whole 9 months before I decided I was launched. And at that point, I only had like 2 posts and a quiz on my site. And then I scrapped the site in like 2 months. So like literally when I say like start, I mean start, because you'll realize what you want to do. You'll realize what you don't want to do. And you'll be able to find your place, your niche, in the blogosphere sooner. So start, go with something simple. Don't go with the most advanced theme. I made the mistake of doing that, and I used Genesis, and I had to learn how to do all this like CSS coding to be able to customize my site. It was a royal nightmare, caught me up for a good 3 months, like just honestly, like I'm telling you, start. I don't care what anyone says about, design, or I don't care what anyone says, about different.
I agree. Because I say I'm the queen of procrastination, but at the same time, once I do something, I always find myself saying to myself, like, why didn't I do that like 3 months ago or 4 months ago? At this point, I would have been.
It's exactly it. And like the same procrastination that I had, like from, my old career advice blog, where I didn't, create any content, which is actually now, it becomes kind of funny because that quiz from my original launch brings me the most Pinterest sessions of any post on my blog, even though it's no longer relevant. But what I did was I just didn't create content. And it was like, it felt so awkward calling myself a blogger when I was not producing any content. And so I started my interview series then. It was like the Scaling Success Stories back in March. And what I realized was that because my blog was kind of established, And I was, you know, targeting for keyword wise, like all of my interview series guests, like you know, their names. No one was, you know, searching for them. So I started like, you know, ranking on the top of Google for these people like rather quickly, and in some cases even in a few hours. And so what I realized, you know, was that from March until, or February really, from February until July, like my organic search traffic has increased by precisely 500%.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, produce content, because if I had produced blog posts like in those, you know, in between that like 6-month gap or whatever, like I would have been able to go, you know, so much further. So what I'm doing to myself now is I told myself, like, you have to get content. And so I'm literally publishing an article at least like every single day on my blog for
Wow.
August. And so far it's going well. And I've got like over 18,000 words, you know, published on my site for this month. And it's just like 5 days in so far. So what I am telling you is start and commit to a schedule that works for you. I know life can get complicated, trust me, I know, but you have to honor the commitments that you make to yourself. And if you know that you have to get something done, then come hell or high water, you have to get it done. Excuse yourself from whatever obligations you have to get it done, because you will thank yourself years later for all of those sacrifices when you look at your online business and it's been able to change your life.
Oh, that was great. It was awesome. It's so inspirational for you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today and share all these great tips. I really appreciate. And I'll put all the links that we discussed today in the description. And yeah, we'll keep in touch. I'll let you know if there are any questions. Thank you so much, Drew. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Bye-bye.